Hey guys, so I'm just dropping in before the episode starts because when I recorded this near the beginning of February, but near the end of February, I went to the spa and I read Rachel Rogers' We Should All Be Millionaires. And at the end of the book, she gives you a challenge, whether you're a new entrepreneur or a seasoned entrepreneur, whatever it is. And she says, I challenge you to make $10,000 in 10 days. And I'm like, okay, I've definitely made $10,000 in 10 days for sure. But what if I challenge myself to do it right now? What would I do? What exciting thing could I do that's different but still so helpful to you guys? Now, this is something that I'm only offering to my email list and to you guys. I'm not talking about it on Instagram, none of that shit, not making any posts, nothing, just email and here in this one episode. I am selling my signature From Imposter to Empowered course, which is originally $197. I am selling it for $99 and you get a group coaching call with me. You get a group coaching call with me near the end of March. And this deal is only available, so if you purchase the course for $99 before tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. EST, then you will not only get the course and lifetime access to the course, but you will also get a group coaching call with me. And guys, I do not hold back when I coach. I can facilitate really, really big breakthroughs in just a couple of minutes, and you do not want to miss out on this epic deal. So you can go to the link in my show notes and click that secret little link there. It'll be the first link. And again, you can get the From Imposter to Empowered course that will help you overcome your imposter syndrome. Over 60 women are in the course and they have overcome imposter syndrome and used the tools and used the skills so they can create massive abundance in their lives. So you will do that with the course, and then you get the added bonus of a group coaching call with me and whoever else purchases the course with this deal, okay? So only $99, and you get access to the From Imposter to Empowered course for life, and you get a free group coaching call with me, okay? Link in my show notes. It is only available until tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. EST. Only available until then. If you try to use the code, it's not going to work. It's going to expire past then. And let's see if I can hit my $10,000 goal in 10 days, which is definitely doable. Absolutely doable. I've done it before, but I wanted to do something new and spicy and also kind of ring in the month of March in a really exciting way because I turned 30 this month. So let's get it. Again, the link in my show notes, and I hope you love this episode. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, and we are now in the month of March, which is crazy. We are almost done with Q3, and I turned 30 on March 21st. And you know what's so weird is I'm pretty sure the 130th episode of this podcast is the same week of my 30th birthday, or it's the episode right before I turned 30. And I just thought that was the craziest timing. So weird. I started this podcast in the beginning of my coaching journey, and it has changed 3 times. It was first the growth sequence. I don't know, it was about like growth and flowers and shit. You know, that was my very soft, feminine, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing branding. And then it was blue branding for the leading lady. I don't know. I thought that was like professional or whatever, but that's when I took on imposter syndrome. But I was calling it like the leading lady. Anyways, we got here. We got here to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast, and I'm so happy to be here. And I am going to be doing some new branding pictures with my sister. Her partner is a videographer, and his family is just like a family of creatives. So his younger brother has a really nice camera. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to hire you to Larissa, except I'm not hiring her for money because this bitch lived in my house for 7 months when our house burnt down. So when our childhood home burned down, she came and stayed with me and she didn't leave for 7 months. So I basically take that as I get to use that against her for the rest of my life. Anyways, she's happy to do it. And it's just going to be so fun. And I'm really incorporating more like hot pink, you know? Some really bold colors. Is it the ADHD that's like, let's switch everything up, including colors? Probably, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, today I am really, really excited to talk about how I made my first 5K when I didn't feel good enough, because a part of my own fraud story is honestly never feeling good enough in any facet of my life. When I was growing up, I thought I wasn't good enough for boys. When I first started dating my fiance at the ripe old age of 15. I had just turned 15, and we're actually celebrating our 15-year anniversary on March 23rd, 2 days after I turned 30, and we will have been together for half our lives, which is wild. We actually started talking 15 and a half years ago on MSN. The 90s and 2000s kids know that MSN was our medium of choice to communicate, and that's how we started talking. But I just never felt good enough. I didn't feel good enough for him because I had a speech impediment and other people were like going after him, and I was like, why does this guy like me? So I remember that. I remember going into university and thinking like, I'm not smart enough to be here. I got into my master's degree, and when I found out that they waitlisted a bunch of other people and I had been able to get into the program, I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, I thought that anybody just got into this program. So you can see like flavors of imposter syndrome like penetrated different areas of my life, and it came from a very deep wound of not feeling good enough. And a lot of that has to do with my own experiences, right? So my own experiences about what I learned about my worth, and you have the same things as well. And it is not a crazy thing when we come into entrepreneurship and we start our businesses and then we tell ourselves things like, oh my God, my offer isn't good enough, or my program isn't good enough. I had somebody in the DMs last week, or couple weeks ago, and she was asking me, she was like, I don't know what's going on. How do I show my audience that this is important, that this is valuable, because they don't seem to value it? And it all comes back to, what are your thoughts? Because it doesn't matter what thing you sell. It doesn't matter what things you decide to switch externally. It doesn't matter what fucking niche you're in. If you don't have clean thoughts about what you're selling, if you don't feel so rooted in belief about what you're selling, your audience isn't going to believe it either. They're not going to see the value either. So if you have thoughts that this isn't good enough, this offer isn't good enough, there's not enough value, I'm not doing enough, then chances are that is coming through in your copy and in your messaging. So my fraud journey, I feel like I am just learning how to overcome imposter syndrome at different levels constantly, like constantly just learning how to overcome it at each level of my business. At first, it was, how do I overcome imposter syndrome to sign my first client? How do I overcome imposter syndrome to make 10K months? How do I overcome imposter syndrome to hit $500,000, which I'm on my way to doing, right? So it's really a process, and you know that whenever I talk about overcoming it, it's not overcoming it forever. It's overcoming it at the level that you're at, feeling really grounded and rooted in the fact that you are meant to be here and that you are worthy of the level that you're at, and then taking one courageous step into the next level and learning how to overcome it at that level as well. So when I made my first 5K, I was learning how to overcome imposter syndrome to sign my first high ticket client. And I signed 4 high ticket clients totaling to $5,000 for a 12-week group program. And this was in the summer of 2019. I was working with DL Sharon, who I'm currently working with now, which is so cool. And she was my very first business coach in January of 2019. I think I've told you guys this story before, but in January of fucking 2019, I was like, hi, I need help. I'm a side hustler and I don't know how to make money. And she worked out this $100 every 2-week fucking payment plan with me for like 8 months. Bless her soul. Thank you, DL. And now we're working together and she's helping me scale to $500,000. So it's really exciting and I just love her so much. And I was working with her and I was trying to sign my first 5 high ticket clients, and imposter syndrome was coming for me hard. I was selling imposter syndrome, right? So I was selling imposter syndrome, how to overcome it for entrepreneurs so they could feel confident in their businesses, so they can show up and feel confident in their businesses. Now I help you overcome imposter syndrome so you can sign high ticket clients. But back then I was like, what do people need that I know I can get for them? And that is the confidence to continuously show up, because I was doing that. I was going to work all day and then I was coming home on my lunches or after work and I was showing up on stories like no one's business. I never fucking gave up. So let's talk about how I made my first 5K when I didn't feel good enough. So here's what I did, okay? Really easy. I focused on selling one result, which was helping business owners overcome imposter syndrome to have the confidence to show up consistently, right? All of my marketing content pointed towards that one result. So I really came back to that whenever I was creating any type of post or going on stories. I was thinking, how could I explain to them that imposter syndrome is what's going to help them get the result that they want? And I focused on that. Where I had struggled before is I would try to put everything that was in my offer into my marketing. Let me say that again. I was trying to put everything that was in my offer into my marketing. So I would talk about everything that we'd be doing in terms of like, okay, if I was selling my one-to-one program before I launched this group, I was talking about, okay, so we're going to go through this transformation and we're going to talk about generational wounds and all of these things, but I wasn't focusing on, they just want the result. They want to know, will I get the result or not? And it's very easy to get caught up in this. And where I help my clients with this is I tell them, you can do whatever the fuck you want inside of the container. But what I really want you to think about is, what result am I going to get for them and how can I talk about that? How can I talk about, you will do X in order to get this result. This is how I can help you, without giving them all of the details and everything that's involved, right? So that's what I did. That's the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did is I was super clear on the transformation that the clients would receive and what exactly they'd experience as a result of overcoming imposter syndrome. Now, when I say specific, when I looked back on, oh, bless my soul, I was so cute. I keep on saying that shit because I have been watching Sweet Magnolias and I love the southern like atmosphere. I just think it's so sweet and so quaint, and the houses are beautiful in the South, and yeah, I mean, there are a lot of issues everywhere, but I do love like how they call women Miss and then their first name. I think that's so cute, but that's why I keep saying shit like y'all and bless your soul, because I'm a weirdo like that. Anyways, so I looked back at my marketing materials and I was so specific on, this is exactly what's going to happen with your Instagram stories. This is exactly what's going to happen when you are showing up to sell. I was so clear and specific, and I was so confident in those specifics because, first of all, I had to overcome them for myself. So if you are confused about what kind of result, what exactly they're going to experience, and you're like, well, no, Jill, this is why I need you because I suffer with imposter syndrome and I'm telling myself I can't get them the result. But what if you just let yourself dream a little bit? Like, what if you just let yourself dream a little bit? Push yourself to the point where you're like, okay, if I was my next level self, if I was my worthy woman, my highest level self, what result would I want to get for somebody? What result would I be confident in saying? And you can cringe as you write it. You can be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Do it anyways, okay? Do it anyways. Get really clear, because I look back on it, and when I was really questioning myself as I made a lot of money, so I went from making $12,000 in 2019 to $130,000 in 2020, when I was really rocked by the sudden jump in my income, I started to get really insecure about this, and this was a mistake I made. I stopped getting specific and I stopped getting so simple. I thought that I had to be bigger and badder and more unique, and I thought I had to be so smart and offering something so new and using all these fancy fucking words, and I didn't need to do any of that. I needed to go back to my roots and be like, people want this result. How can I help them get it? And what are they going to experience? Like, literally experience. My coach DL says if you could look in someone's window and see what they were doing and what they were struggling with, what would you see? And literally use those words. So I was really clear and simple and efficient at identifying here is what overcoming imposter syndrome at this level will actually do for you. Here are examples. The third thing that I did is I created an outline for the program before I started selling it, so I felt confident in what my clients would receive. I don't want you guys to spin out about this, but I got really clear on, okay, here's the outline. I'm going to do this week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. How I was doing it was I just had a Facebook group, and I would say, here's the topic. I would write out a script, because at that point I didn't feel confident enough to do it off the fly, and I do everything off the fly now. And I would go live and record it and do the whole thing, and then I would upload it and keep it in the Facebook group, and that was their training, and they had worksheets and all that stuff, right? So I created that outline. I created the outline, but I didn't get so caught up in the weeds of what exactly each training would look like, but I had an idea. I had a blueprint. So it made me feel really good about doing that back end stuff. So when I showed up, I didn't think to myself as I was showing up trying to sell, I didn't think to myself, oh, I don't have anything done and I really need to do that. And I think I'm going to do that for this week, but I'm not sure. And what if they don't get the result because I'm not talking about this? I knew I have an outline. I know what I'm talking about. And I know I just had to do the work within the outline. And if you have ADHD, if you struggle with a lot of procrastination because of your executive dysfunction is not a word, but we're going to go with it. If you experience that, don't overload yourself with needing to do the whole thing. I have a lot of clients who struggle with this, and they think that they need to make all these resources and do all these things. And I say, just start and do like one a week. Take it day by day by day. When I started my one-to-one coaching program, which is the current one that I still have, and it's open for enrollment. So if you would like to work with me to sign high ticket clients and overcome imposter syndrome so you can do that, you can go to the link in my show notes and book a consultation call for that. But I did not have a vault of resources that I do now. I have so many hypnosis tracks and meditation tracks and journal prompts and EFT tapping videos. I have so much fucking shit, but I didn't at the time because I had to slowly work on it. And you can take your time with that as well, as long as you have just a rough idea of how you're going to help somebody and the path that you're going to take them on. That is good enough for your brain. The fourth thing that I did was I didn't make anything mean anything. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this before on the podcast, and you will probably hear me say it a million times until it finally gets through to your head. But I had to work so hard at not making anything mean anything about my future or about my success. Any launch that I do, any sales call that I do, I have to actively coach myself on, this doesn't mean anything. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to have the life and the business that I want. This doesn't mean anything. And you learn how to coach yourself and be coached on that stuff as you go on and on and on with your business. But I heard no a million times for that program. I had thoughts that I sucked and no one wanted to work with me, and I asked for coaching. I got coaching from my coach. I felt my feelings even though they felt really shitty. I threw temper tantrums in my head, but I kept coming back to the fact that no matter what happened, I was going to be okay and I was going to be successful. And I talk about this a lot with my clients, that if you are getting to the point where you're like, what's the point of all this? Why bother? It's probably because you have a timeline on your success. But what if you didn't? What if you told yourself, I am going to do whatever it takes to make this work? And if you are just in this just to make a quick buck, it's probably not the right fit. If you're going to give up on your dream of having an online business, having an online coaching business or a service-based business, then you need to get clear on that now. Because if you're just in it and you're putting these timelines on yourself in terms of, well, if I don't sign my first high ticket client by this date, that means that it's not going to work and I'm not good enough. If you're going to do that, then it's not going to be worth it, because you're going to constantly be using every single thing against you. You're going to use every no, every failed sales call, every time when someone says, oh, I just don't know. Like, you are going to use everything against yourself. So I didn't make anything mean anything. And that is how, and I fucking showed up. And then I didn't put this in the Instagram post that I made. And if you're not following me on Instagram, @YourCoachJill, come over there and say hi. But I showed up. I showed up for myself. I showed up when I was tired. I showed up and consistently did the work. And I signed 4 high-ticket clients. I think I launched for like a month. And I signed those 4 high-ticket clients, and I had my first 5K month in June of 2019. And that was, I can still remember being on my deck at our old rental place, sipping a cocktail after work and being like, I just made $5,000 in my business. What the hell is life? And I felt really unworthy at that time as well. But worthiness is a journey, you know? And imposter syndrome holds you back from signing clients because your brain stops at I'm not good enough. Your brain is stopping at that thought. It just hears I'm not good enough, and you believe that it's true. And this means that you are not getting clear on the transformation that your client is getting, and you feel resistant to looking into it. That is why when I said the thing about what exactly are they going to experience, and if you were like, I don't know, and you freeze up, it's because you're making everything mean that you're not good enough. And you're afraid that if you go and look into your thoughts and look into, okay, what kind of results can I get for somebody, you are going to keep hearing the thought, I'm not good enough, and you're going to believe it. And if you keep telling yourself, it doesn't matter if I show up, or it doesn't matter if I say this or post that post, or why bother, because no one will buy anyways, or they won't get results, you really need to take inventory of those thoughts and really look at where they're coming from, and really look at why your brain is feeding you those thoughts. You know, it could be past experiences, childhood, your own journey from feeling unworthy to feeling worthy now. There's so many things there that we can work on, and we can do that in one-to-one coaching. And it doesn't have to be so complicated. Signing clients while feeling good enough and capable enough can be so fucking simple when you are committed to the process. It really is. Okay? And that is how I made 5K. My first 5K in 2019. Little Jill, she had no idea where she would be in the beginning of 2022, in the first quarter of it, and at 300,000 and on our way to $500,000. It's so exciting. And if you would like to do this work with me, if you would like to overcome imposter syndrome so you too can sign high ticket clients, you're going to want to go to the link in my bio and book a consultation call for one-to-one coaching. It will completely change your life in just one session. You will get amazing results. You'll get so clear. You'll feel so good. And then we have the rest of the 6 months to truly dive in and help you sign clients, and you can have the dream business that you truly want. Okay, I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in my lifetime group coaching program, The Worthy Woman Method. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at YourCoachJill so we can connect. See you next time.